Hello, this is Robert, and I wanted to welcome you back to my watercolor sessions. This particular one is going to be a very loose, very easy, very fun watercolor. It's a cityscape. I kind of based it off of New York, but just any kind of skyline would be kind of nice for you to create this with. So, with this particular technique that we're going to use, it's going to be very thrifty. You're going to find it fun. It's going to require you to be loose. So let me show you what we're going to do. We're going to make a cityscape very loosely like this particular painting here. Okay, so it's going to be very loose, very fun, and very creative. The colors that we're going to use and the brushes and things that we're going to use, we've got a turquoise, a mineral violet, yellow ochre, Chronoxium red, white, maybe a white acrylic if you don't have China white. We're going to use maybe a flat brush we will use a flat brush just to put our initial wash down. Then we're going to use cut up credit cards and a spray bottle. So like this. So I've cut up some credit cards, one of my old credit cards. This is good if you decided that you want to cut up credit cards and not use them any longer. So I've just got a credit card that I've cut up and I put them into a little bit different sizes. I've got a palette knife that I might use for some lines. I've got a mop brush. This is just to put the water down. You can use any type of brush, I imagine, but this is a mop brush that I'm going to use just to put the water over it. I saw this on one of the classes on the internet. This is a twig that I've put into a pencil sharpener, and this would allow me to make some lines in the painting just another way instead of using a brush. So it's kind of neat. I think this is done with an artist called Karen on the internet. This is a coffee stirrer that makes it easy for you to make some windows. So again, anybody on a budget, here's your coffee stirrer. Just use it. You can cut the end to make it smaller or leave it wooden. For the mineral metallic paints, I just bought a very inexpensive set at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or one of those stores. These are just the metallic ones. Then I've got as I mentioned, a turquoise. It's Winsor Newton turquoise and some violets, maybe some red. So that's basically what I have there. Then I've made my light sketch. Okay, light sketch of a cityscape. It's very easy. It's mostly boxed. Got a little bit of dome on the side there and got the bridge in there. But it's just a nice, easy, simple sketch that we can use. And basically, this technique, the paper and the paints and the running is going to determine what you're going to do with this particular one. It's going to maybe get away from us at some time. But that's the joy and fun of this type of technique. All the mingling of colors, the colors forging together. I think you're going to really see that this can be quite a fun little painting for us to do. So I'm going to now wet my paper. I'll put this down to my canvas. I've got some Arches paint paper on here, 140 weight Arches paper rather. I'm just wetting the surface. I've got to give it a little bit of time to soak in, so that'll make your colors flow even more. So you've got to get this wetness. Time to soak the paper, make it a little bit spongy. And as I said, that'll give us the ability to spread the colors. When I put the first colors in, you're going to see some nice, we've drawn this out symmetrically, but when we start putting the paints in, they're going to spread and run, and we're going to get some very exciting things happening, and that will dictate how the painting is actually completed or created. So I'm going to take a little bit of my turquoise. I've got that at the end of this credit card, and I'm going to just start working, and let's see what happens with the colors. So look how that spreads wonderfully. Take a little bit of violet on there, one on this side. I'm going to add a little cad yellow. I'm going to grab some of my metallic paints. This is a copper. It's just wonderful how they spread out. Just squaring, drawing a little bit with this credit card. We've got a nice dome on this side, so I'm just using the end to create a little bit of a dome. Look at how these colors are running down in the lower portion. Okay, more colors. Suggest a line, skyline here. We'll build some water up here. This will be our harbor. I'm going to pull some of this down to suggest some reflections. This is, I'm using a rather limited palette. Here's a little bit of the, I think I've added some cad red there. We're going to let some more spreading action come in a second. Go up top. Come at the base, build some values down there. I'm going to take this nice little stick that we've put together. Just drawing in a little bit of an indication. Put more buildings in. There's that nice metallic. Keep building and building and building. And when you pull these colors for these buildings, don't pull real hard. You want to scrape them, but you don't want to scrape all the paper out and go through and make a hole in your palette or paper. You use your imagination. And as I said, this is a New Yorkish type scene, but it's very loose and wild and free. So let's say it's New Yorkish because it's your New York. It's what you've created, and hopefully it's as they say, a happy little New York. We got a lot of turmoil going around now in the country, but you, on this palette, this is your world, so you can make it as happy as you wish. This will take you away from the outside world. Okay, it's starting to dry up more and more, and as it dries up more, we can add a few more colors and they won't bleed together as much. But we wanted to get a lot of things happening, a lot of mingling of colors to begin with while it was nice and wet. Okay, we'll keep on building, building, building. Come to our bridge, suggest some things going on in there. As many of you know, Manhattan is just a wonderful place to visit. Maybe not at this time with the virus, but soon New York will come back 100%. Now let me start building. This is that stick that I told you, the coffee stirrer. We can start putting some windows in as it starts drying up. We can take our stick again and add some things. We're still kind of at a wet stage in this, but that's the most fun time. As it continues to dry, there's more opportunities to build windows and structure. We'll keep with our credit card. Using this sharpness. Scraping colors in. It's just fun to do this. We'll add some more suggestions down here of water. Pull our shadows down once again, our reflections. And this is still damp, so it's still giving us some bleeding of colors together. Reinforce our bridge. Put a few more windows in. Let's do a little bit more drawing with our brush, with our twig brush. So, you can go out to your coffee shop one day, take a few paints, you can just make your own twigs, sharpen them with a pencil sharpener, tear up one of your credit cards, which is always a good idea, I guess. And when somebody asks you, what did you do with your credit cards, you can just show them what you did with your credit cards, with your painting. Now, if you wanted to add a little bit more to your sky, put a light coat. Now, your buildings have to be fairly dry for this, or else everything will run together. But you could put a little bit of tint of color into your sky. This is great to do when it's completely wet, or I'm sorry, completely dry. It's nice to begin when you're wet, of course, too. But then you can come back and just put a few tints of color into it. If you want to get more running, you can just spray the bottom and let the colors flow together. Lift your painting up, get a little more flowing action. And just continue to build and build and build. course, we can overdo this also. So we probably need to know when to stop. So with that, I would say, let's remove the tape, see what we have with our little border around it. This is washi tape. It peels off very easily. So we have a nice border around it. We can put frame on it. We could do blue, we could do white. Let's just put this on here just so you can see. And I'm going to hold this up. Take it over here, hold it up. Just show you what it kind of looks like with a nice frame on it. So again, very loose, very creative. This can be worked further and further as long as you want on it. You can get as many details, but it's kind of nice to have a very creative, loose painting. You know, so I think this is kind of neat that you have it very, very mingling, and as I said, very loose. And these colors just are wonderful together. So I hope you've enjoyed this. This is something you can do very easily at home. It'll take your mind off all the troubles that we have now with the coronaviruses, being many of us that are homebound. So hope you're doing well, and look at our other videos. We'll have more coming up soon. Thank you.